Welcome to Rick's Corner. I want to talk about protein. Everybody talks about protein. You have to have protein to build muscle. You have to have beef protein, you need egg protein, milk protein, whey protein, all these different proteins. But going back to the old school style from, I'd say, even the 60s, I remember starting working out as a kid. I must have been about 14 or so, living up north at a Universal Health Club, which do not exist anymore. They had all the chrome weights, and they were kind of state of the art at the time. And everybody joined it. They had this club memberships for a year, and it was a contract, and they tied you into it, and it was like buying a car back in those days. And I had a friend who was a pro boxer, and he worked there as an instructor. I think he was related to me by marriage somehow. But to me, he looked huge. As I got older, he looked small. But he got me working out, and I had to buy a shirt like he had because I wanted to be like him at the time. And he said, "You got to eat these protein pills." And he carried them around in a little bag. They were vanilla and they were chocolate. They were about the size of a quarter, about the thickness of 2 nickels put together. That's a pretty good description. And they tasted like chalk. And then they would get gummy and they stick to your teeth. I just remember this so well. I'd be working out and eating vanilla protein pills the whole time. Now, I don't even know what was in them. They were kind of sweet and they were kind of like honey. I don't know, but I ate them because that's all they had. There weren't many protein sources back then in the early 60s. Basically, that's what it was. Then I learned later on to start drinking. I was drinking 3 quarts of milk a day to gain weight. And I never got fat on the milk. I gained muscle. I gained weight. I definitely gained it. But I wanted more protein. And since there was none available in stores that I knew of at the time, I started adding powdered milk to my milk. And so the powdered milk had, of course, more grams of protein. Mixed with the milk, I had more grams total drink. And I think I had constipated from this because milk can do that if you drink too much of it. But as far as gaining muscle size, yeah, I gained on that one. Powdered milk and milk, if you can imagine that. I'd never do it today. I have no reason to, but this is what we did then. Then I go to a health food store and I see Hoffman's protein, which I mentioned before. He had I don't know what the protein was made of. It might have been soy, but I don't think so. I'm not quite sure what he put in there, but it was okay, kind of gritty. And then he had the protein from the sea, which was dehydrated fish, which I had mentioned. And then he had liver pills. And the liver pills we all took. We take like 30 a day. Liver pills really made progress in muscle growth. They're full of B vitamins, they're full of protein and energy, and they definitely worked. But you got to take like 30 or 40 a day. It's like a process laying all these pills on the table. But liver pills help. I have a list of extra I'm going over. Then there's pea protein, which I just learned about recently. I don't think that's anything new. It's been around a long time, but I never really took it. But apparently it's a good protein. But back in those days, like I say, it was the powdered milk and milk. Then I learned from the bodybuilders down in Muscle Beach way, way back in the late 60s. I'd be down at the beach and drinking quarts of milk or quarts of cream. I said, "What are you drinking?" They said, "We're drinking regular cream that you buy in the store." "But why cream or extra rich milk?" They said, "Because the cream, as real Blair said, the fat in the cream is used as energy, and then the protein is used to build muscle, so you're getting fat and protein." I remember going to like House of Pancakes and places to eat with some of these guys, and they'd take the creamers and they'd drink them because they had cream in them. Now today they have those little white plastic things that are artificial cream, and they actually ignite with like fire if you light on them. So the cream was a good source of building muscle and having energy to burn as well, and burning fat. Blair's protein came out, and Blair's was one of the best on the market. It was expensive, but it worked. And Blair said, "You have to mix this with cream. It's almost like a pudding." And the two together, Larry Scott took, Don Howard took, all the greats took Blair's protein mixed with cream. Same principle, fats and protein. It went out of business a long time ago, but I think there's somebody around now who started the formula back in. They're selling it, but it's like way expensive. I mean, like $300 for a big keg of it. Milk and egg protein came out. Now the milk and egg protein was back then probably one of the best sources of protein, because the milk and eggs or steak and eggs is just a good source for protein content. It wasn't whey and it wasn't soy, but milk and egg. I think you can still buy it today. I don't know who makes it, but be careful of the labels. Make sure it's the real deal. We made good progress on the milk and egg protein and drinking the cream out of the creamers. That's such a crazy thing to talk about. I remember in the 80s, Hot Stuff came out. Now Hot Stuff was pretty good. It had a good taste to it. It worked, and I was told back in that day that they had laced it with Dianabol. No one could prove it, but boy, did I gain on that stuff. My son too, we talked about the Hot Stuff. It had a definite flavor, and it definitely put on muscle. Now Hot Stuff's still around today, but I think they took that ingredient out. I think they got found out by the government, and they had to pull that ingredient out of the protein. And then hemp protein, which is basically what, marijuana? It's also a good source of protein. I heard it's great stuff. I've never tried it, but it is around. But back in those days, what we took was milk and egg. We took the Blairs, we did the cream, and everybody was pretty much natural. No one was taking any drugs at the time, and they made good progress just off these diets alone, just off the protein. Now, there's nothing better than real food. I mean, real food is going to make you what you want to be. But there's times that you don't have real food available, and that's usually in between meals. So taking this kind of stuff in between, which we did, I did the afternoons, and I also did bedtime, because look at it this way. You work out hard all day long, you go to a job, whatever you do, you go to bed at night, whatever, 10, 11 o'clock at night, your body's at rest. It needs something to feed the muscle to grow. That's my theory. Those little guys in your muscle, they're hammers and chisels, and they're building your muscle, and they're doing stuff, but they need to fire food into it. So if you take your protein at night before you go to bed, also take it with a spoon of fiber, because you need the fiber. Let it go to work and build your muscles overnight. And when you get up in the morning, you have some rebuilded cells. So that's my theory, and that's what we did back in the day. And I thought you guys like to hear about this, because it really is kind of interesting that this stuff worked. And people say to me, yeah, but this is 2016, there's new innovative things now. Yes, there are, but the body is no different than the body it was 100 years ago or 200 years ago. It still has the same mechanism inside the body. It still absorbs and still works the same way we did back then. Yes, there are advanced methods now. You can try them if they work for you. Some do, some don't. Some of the proteins today have a lot of fake fillers in it, and so you don't really know what you're getting, but this worked. And that's all I wanted to tell you. Thanks for watching Rick's Corner, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget, you can still order my autographed logo from Gold's on an 8x10 piece of paper signed by me and autographed to you. And it's a great Christmas gift for somebody. If you want to give it to someone, order it early though, because it takes 7 to 10 days to get it out. Put their name on it, I'll sign it, you can give it to them and frame it, and they can put it up on their wall as a piece of bodybuilding history. I think it's probably a really good collector's item. Okay guys, thanks, we'll see you next time.
It's rickdrasin.com. He is the equalizer, baby. See you next time.